Thank you for coming, and with Siyata Deshmaya, we'll all be able to gain from this presentation. We all share the same goal of imparting in our Talmidim, in the Bocharim, a feeling of Kiheim Chayenu, feelings of Nechmadim, Izov, Mipaz. And we all say, Achas Sha'alti Me'eis Hashem, Oysa Avakesh, to be shifted Be'eis Hashem. The question is, how many of us, how many of our Talmidim could honestly, sincerely say that the only Bakasha, the only Sheila and Bakasha of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is to be shifted Be'eis Hashem? Of course, there are those that the ganze Leben, the whole life, is Torah, and that's obviously the goal where we need to be. And then there are those that never, on the other side of the extreme, don't even say the words Achashalti. They don't even, they're mufka, chas v'shalom, some teens that don't even have that feeling of bechlal of Achashalti. And what we're going to focus on today, is the middle ground, is the ground of the Bocharim and the Talmidim that want to develop the desire for Torah. They want Achas Sha'alti, they're asking to be Oysa Avakesh, to want and to be kind and develop the taste and the Mesikas HaTorah. Now why? Why, if Torah is Mayim? Why, if Torah is Eira and Chayim? Why aren't we all feeling it? Why aren't we jumping? Torah from morning, noon, and night, eating, sleeping, drinking Torah. Why? What's happening? Why? And we all say in the morning, Vhaarev no Hashem Elokeinu estivei teirascha befinu. Why do we say befinu? Why don't we just say Vhaarev no Hashem Elokeinu estivei teirascha? Make the Torah sweet. What's the word befinu telling us? And the pshat is that of course Torah is this. Of course the Torah is this. We're asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu befinu. We should develop the taste buds in our mouth to feel and to taste the Heilige Torah. But the word befinu is also telling us a fundamental yesod regarding developing a cheshik and avas HaTorah. Only if the Gemara is befinu, only if we could read the Shakavataya, understand the Shakavataya, it's smooth, it's talking to us, only then could it bring to Vhaarev. Sometimes I ask my Baruchim, which tefillah, is there any tefillah in davening that they don't enjoy so much? And the answer is usually Brich Shemay. Brich Shemay, some Baruchim Mondays and Thursdays they don't like Vurachum, but Brich Shemay is a lot. Is that's what they say straight out. Brich one guy says a Gabbai, he skips anyway. Brich Shemay. What's that with Brich Shemay? How could it be that Brich Shemay to some Baruchim and some Talmidim is not negeya, and I'm sure all of us here, Brich Shemay is the most geschmack tefillah. You talk to the Eibishter, the Mari Alma, it's the Sash the Mishandeli Boy, it's geschmack tefillah. How is that possible? For some it's gefährlich, and for some it's the most zisa tefillah. And the answer is pashut. If it's befinu, if we know what we're saying, then it's geschmack. If it's not befinu, then it's not negeya. And that's the key to Vhaarev is befinu. And the translation, actually, if you look in one of these higher class dictionaries, the translation of humor, someone told me, humor is making sense of something complex. That's the translation of humor. Everyone enjoys humor. You make sense of something complex. You look at a Gemara and it looks fuzzy, and then it comes Geshmaya, it makes sense and it's clear. That brings to Vhaarev. So I'd like to start off with a video. We just put out this video 2 weeks ago. And if everyone, you can see on this video, if the audience could focus on the ways the Baruchim speak with such sincerity, such genuine, you can't make it up. You'll see for yourself. And all these Baruchim is one thing. It's through Befinu. It's through Befinu they developed a Vhaarev, they developed Mesikis that took them to new heights they never imagined possible. If you could also just realize that it's going to be maybe 15 Baruchim speaking throughout the video, they're representing the feelings of hundreds of other Baruchim who feel the same way.
I've been working on this Masechta throughout the whole year, little by little, every day, and now to come into Ritzufis, to learn for 4 hours straight.
When I went inside the Ritzufis in the beginning, I questioned my mind, how am I going to sit down for 4 hours and learn?
If you would have told me at the beginning of this year that I'd be able to do 4 hours straight of learning, I would have told you you're crazy. No way. I can't do that.
There's no way I'm sitting down to learn 4 hours straight when I can't even learn 1 hour straight.
I never learned more than an hour in my life. He expects me to learn for 3 hours straight.
Today is the day when you really see how far you've come.
The Gemara just kept coming. I was able to read the Gemara, looking at it. It looked like the Gemara was talking to me. I continued plowing through. It was a feeling which you won't get from anything else.
Before I knew it, I was into my 4th hour, and I could have learned more.
Getting up from Seder after learning for 4 hours, done the Masechta, best feeling in the world, felt great.
I didn't think it was possible for me to sit by a stender for 4 hours straight, doing nothing but doing sukkah. It was incredible.
The feeling afterwards was so unbelievable. Never felt anything like it before.
I'm a big sports fan, and I'm the type of guy who every time the team wins, they're in a good mood for the rest of the day. I'm telling you, the feeling does not compare.
It's unreal how, I just learned 3 hours, I just learned 4 hours. I never thought I'd be able to do that.
Wow, how did I just do this?
It really shows you can really do anything you want in life.
I'm really looking forward to Vhaarev now because I've never been able to sit straight for 4 hours, let alone learn. And I see these older Bachrim, and there's kids I've been friends with for years. They're just like me. They haven't been able to do that, but then they go through this program and then they can sit there for 4 hours straight and they look so happy doing it. I really can't wait.
Only way for a 12th grade to sit down and learn Ritzufis of Chazar for 3-4 hours straight, and if you know the Gemara very well already.
It starts with shir every single day. You have to make sure to take notes, all footnotes, right? Little notes on the side to make you understand the Gemara better. Hard words, you should write the words in. You got to chazah 3 times a day. You got to be prepared for the next day.
Every Shabbos you review it over.
And then comes Bein Hazmanim, and you do every day, you do 5 blot.
You know the Gemara cold. They're able to just pound on Bein Hazmanim and get through everything you learned the whole year. And then you get up to the chazar and you feel so powerful and you feel so great about yourself.
And that's how, by the end of the year, you're able to sit for 4 hours straight and do 12 blot with Harusa.
For anyone to learn 1 hour straight, a half hour straight, 15 minutes straight is hard. 4 hours. To see Bachrim learn 4 consecutive hours without stopping for a moment with a tremendous hasmada is completely attributable to the work that Rabbi Newman puts in. It's nothing short of stupendous. We are grateful to Rabbi Newman for what he's doing. It has brought even more hasmada into the yeshiva. The Bachrim are learning with the Gishlak and with the Ritzifus. We are grateful. Thank you very much.
Chazara, and then Chazara is the only way to be able to sit down and actually enjoy what you're learning.
Chazara takes a Gemara that's unenjoyable and difficult and turns it into something that's geschmack, something that's enjoyable to learn.
Usually you don't enjoy Gemara like that. Once you know it and know it after Chazar, you know it very well. You love the Gemara. You want to Chazar 3 hours.
If you have a Gemara in the bones, you just whip it open on the plane, on a bus, on a trip, wherever you are. It's able easy.
You know you always have a Masechta to go to.
You own the Gemara. It's in you.
I could just go like that and rattle off the whole parak just like that.
We have an unconditional love for it and passion to do it again and again and again.
Chazara!
Chazara! Chazara!
And then
It's a life-changing program. I've never learned like this in my life.
How many blot did you learn today?
9.5 blocks so far.
I gained a confidence in learning I never had before.
It trains you for Shas. It trains you because you know how the Amaram talk.
Now I'm able to open up any Gemara because all the Gemaras have the same structure. Once you know how a Gemara flows, how the words, where to put the commas, it opens up the whole Shas to you.
there are 20 guys in my class that love learning Gemara right now. They love learning Gemara because of this program.
Now I'm able to read a Gemara so much better, and I'm able to make commitments regarding the Ian even.
Once you get to that maturity level to understand that Torah is the only thing in the world, to say that I can do it for 4 hours is just the coolest thing.
Other Bachrim that are in the base medrash that I'm now, they're jealous. They come over to us. They see us making siyumim. They see us always be able to, just sit down whenever, even if it's late and, and we want to sit down and learn. It's easy for us because we know it so well.
I see Bachrim blossoming and changing and developing an Avos HaTorah.
Today is the first time I actually finished parak.
When you learn Gemara for real, there's a sense of happiness that you'll never ever get anywhere else except for when you learn Gemara.
Now that I finished learning for 4 hours straight, I feel like I'm on a high.
This is the life.
It felt great, and I want to do it a lot more in the future.
You're like the happiest man in the world. There's nothing happier.
Thank you for watching. I hope we. It was yait. I know it was yaitzim in our life. I hope it was nichnas in life. You know, this video went online 2 weeks ago, and you know, the internet is obviously, we're not giving Askama, but at least it served the purpose of spreading this video to Abba Kampfisarts, literally. And the views on this video was, it doesn't matter, but it was close to 14,000 in a week. But what's more important is the emails, that the response, the phone calls that we got from hundreds of people, all saying the same thing. How do we desire? How do we want? We want to want. How do we get to the level of really feeling it in the bones, wanting the Heilige Torah? And one mother called, actually, she says, you know, her son was watching this video at 12 o'clock at night, and he knocked on the door, and he was having trouble in yeshiva, and he says, this is what I need, help me, this is what I need. And the mother called, now what are we going to do now? And, you know, I made copies, I don't want to go through, but I made copies of maybe 10 of the few hundred emails that we received literally this past weeks, all the outpouring of this gefühl of we want. I just read one or two, just Bacha writes, I'm 29 and single. I have very little cheshik to learn at all. You inspired me after watching the video. Please help me get back into learning Gemara with Geschmack and a smother like the way I used to when I was 20 in yeshiva. Someone wrote, I'm a balabaz, I'm 32, never made a siyum, can't sit with a Gemara for 30 minutes. What could I do? And then a mother wrote from Harnov. She said, my sons were mesmerized by the idea of learning a long stretch. They're intelligent boys who want but don't manage to learn with cheshik for an extended period of time. Maybe the experts will label them with ADHD or something else. But they both have long attention spans when it comes to reading and a very broad general knowledge. They want to learn. Please let me know if the program can help them. This is the emails that literally, we have a chiyuv, everyone sitting here, we have a chiyuv, not just to teach Torah, and that's what we're going to talk about today, but to give over the Mesikas HaTorah, and I want to start out by saying, I want to just stress 2 points. Number one, what we're going to talk about today, Vhaarev, bringing that Mesikas HaTorah, is really to bridge the gap. We're here to bridge a gap between a lack of Mesikas, and the other side of the bridge is to learn Be'in and with Mesikas HaTorah, to be Omal and Amkas HaTorah. But we can't ignore this bridge. The bridge, and we're going to talk about now, we need to go over this bridge to get to the in and to get to the Amelis and to get to the, and while we go over the bridge, there's a lot of Amelis going on. We'll talk now about Chazara. There's a lot of Amelis going on, but we're here to bridge the gap. And secondly, I know we have a broad Olam here, different shiurim, different levels. What we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk 8 points of how this video came about. And the ideas that we're going to talk about could be tweaked and should be tweaked accordingly. You know, I myself teach in 3 yeshivas, and in each yeshiva, I teach the same Masechta, the same age, 12th grade, 11th, 12th grade, and each yeshiva I tweak it accordingly, according to the maturity level, according to the motivational level, according to how spoiled the Barcham are. Everything needs to be tweaked accordingly, and if there's older Barcham or younger Barcham or Talmidim, younger children, everything should be, of course, tweaked accordingly. Before we continue, before we get to the points, I want to just elaborate a little bit what the eye didn't see on this video. There was a bacha, without saying names, there was one bacha here who says in the beginning of the video, learning 3 hours, that's not for me. And this bacha last week was by the dentist office getting a root canal. And he came in, he didn't announce it, he came in to say, Rebbe, I want to just tell you something. I was getting a root canal, they gave me Novocaine, it was hurting. They gave me more, no, it was still hurting. And he says, I closed my eyes, and I went through the past 2 blot in Gemara, Shaka V'Tarya. The time I was finished, the dentist was finished, Shalom Yisrael. There's a bocha here I want to read. I just wrote down one text message. You know, what you saw a lot of the dancing, it was right before Pesach, Zayin Nisan. What is Zayin Nisan? Some of the dancing, we have Kol Chasana. Give out benches, it says in it, Kvei da Chasana, I brought one. Kvei da Chasana, Ben Yisrael Avinu Shebashamayim. What's this Chasana? It's a beautiful Chasana. Why? Because the Baruch come back from Eretz Yisrael, and they all come back with a Masechta Talmud Biyadai, Sukkah Saita, and we had maybe 75 Bachrim that's passed, and Olam sitting and learning. We have Ritzufis 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Straight. Not only that, there's no Batala, but in the no Batala, at the last half hour, we pass around the note that it should be a schus, we have for someone, it should be a schus, Tanis Dieber, the last half hour. The Koil Torah that goes, is Lo Yoman. And that's where you see the emotions, the hugs and the emotions came at the end of that. The Olam was plotzing. And one bacha writes a message like this. I want to read it. That night at 12:30, I got a text message, and I'm reading it word for word. And I should tell you that this bacha is diagnosed with ADD something. And this is what he writes. I just want to let Rebbe know that this past month was a life changer for me. Because in previous years, I was always wanted to be part of the Olam when it came to learning and to know the real taste of a good, juicy piece of a Gemara. But I was never encouraged by anyone who had belief in me that I can be kind of Gemara in the bones. It makes me feel so amazing when a baruch comes over to ask for help on a Gemara. The feeling is unreal. Rebbe, it's like my life is starting again, but this time with the love of Torah leading the way. These word for word, I copied off my phone on here. There's a baruch, one of those baruchim dancing without saying names, that's crying. Tears was coming down his face. And he whispered to me, he says, you know, the feeling I feel now, I didn't know there was such a feeling. I didn't know there was such simchas Torah. Why? Because this is a baruch that sat 4 hours straight and learned, and you learned Birit Sufis with such a geschmack, and most importantly, he learned Gemaras that he knew. That's the key. He learned Gemaras that he knew, and there were tears coming down. I gave him a hug. I said, Moshe, it's so nice. You know, there's another baruch, not that day, but just last week, he told me, he says, I just want to go through what's behind the scenes over here. He said, my plan in life was to go to high school and go to be Medish for 1 or 2 years in Eretz Yisrael and then go to college. He says, this year, everything changed. He says, Torah was one of the obligations. Torah now, he says in his words, Torah is simcha. Torah is simcha. Torah. I'm not leaving this. You know, Mitzvah Shem, you should go to Koil, whatever it is. But those are his words. And then there's one more baruch. I just want you to understand where we're coming from. There's one baruch also that speaks a lot in the video. And if you look at him on the video now, you think that this guy was born a masmid. I don't know. He's born a ben Torah, loving it. We're going to talk about starting off this man with this brand of giving the baruch and letting them know how much Mesikis they're going to get through Torah. And then we'll talk later about how we're going to, at the opening day. And I'm giving a whole schmooze there about we're going to know this Masechta, and we're going to be kind of Masechta, and we're going to chaz, and we're going to over and over and over. You're going to live it, you're going to love it. And I was coming with the ganzkeit, and then I stopped at the end. I said, you know, I'm assuming that everyone wants to know a Masechta. I said, does anyone here not want to know a Masechta? And this one bach who was a loudmouth, I heard from the Manal that he's a shtickle, a loudmouth, and he got up there, and he says, who cares to know a Masechta? Like, I didn't even know his name yet. First day, who cares? He stood up even. B'kol Gadol, he made such a riffian, such a, it was unbelievable. A riffian in the whole, I had such a build-up. He was a careers. Anyway, I'll tell you, with all the confidence, all the geschmack that I have, I remember the feeling. I remember I went to the Manal afterwards, and I said, well, what am I going to do here? I can't deal with his riffian, his kalkite. I want to tell you something. He's one of our, without saying that, he's one of our talking on this video how much Torah is the best thing. He says something, the Torah is the coolest thing, whatever. Why am I saying that? Because why did he say, who cares to know a Masechta? Because in his mind, a Masechta was something that's not geschmack. So of course, who cares to do something not geschmack? I can't remember, we were doing sukkah that year, and a Daf Ches has a whole bunch of sheetas. And I told him, close the Gemara. Who knows all the sheetas? I think it was 8 sheetas on Deir's Kva. I said, who knows the 8 sheetas? Could say them over. And this bacha raised his hand and he railed off the 8 sheetas. We made a tance. It was such a matziv. This bacha said, hey, Torah is geschmack. When you know what Klar is geschmack, so that's what we're going to talk about today. When it's befinu, it's Vhaarev now. When it's not befinu, it's Ocham Vei. But the question is, how do we get Befinu? How do we get Befinu? How do we get Bochrim to have the Gemara's klar? And the answer is, we brought the Bochrim to Rav Nosson Tzvi Finkel 4 years ago, and we asked him for a bracha for Avas HaTorah, and Rav Nosson Tzvi said, I still hear him saying it, he said, there's one thing, this is the bracha, Chazara, 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 and then Chazara. What it says here, that's Rav Nosson Tzvi's words right there. These are Rav Nosson Tzvi's words, and this is his bracha, Chazara, and then Chazara. Now, how do we get Bochrim to Gaza? Shkoyach, we know we need a Chazer. How do we get Talmid? I keep on saying Bochrim, but again, we're talking about Talmid, we're talking about ourselves. How do we get ourselves to Chazer? How do we get Bochrim Talmidim to Chazer? And the answer is, and this is the key of today, they need to want. They need to want and desire it and be ready to be Ma'aseh Nefesh. If someone wants something, then the sky is the limit. There was a few Bochrim, Chanukah, Motzei Shabbos, not my Bochrim, then still related to, and they went Motzei Shabbos Chanukah. They wanted to go skiing in Vermont, so we had like a mishpacha gathering Motzei Shabbos, and they left in the beginning. They're going to drive up to Vermont so they could be first thing in the morning ready to go skiing. Very good. Anyway, a few days I said, where did you sleep? You got to Vermont. Where did you sleep? You got there at 2 o'clock in the morning. Where did you sleep? He says, it was 10 degrees out. It was December. It was 10. He says we turned on the heat very high in the car. Everyone put on have coats. Then we shut off the car, and we all went to sleep. So shtel zechais, what's going on? These guys are sleeping in 10 degrees. A half hour later, it's 10 degrees. And then they go in a car, right? They're not no bed. In a car, freezing cold. Why? Because they want to go skiing the next morning, and they don't want to miss 2 hours. So they're going to come in the car, sleep in the car. It's very true, and we all see ourselves. When we want something, and we really want it, we're going to do anything. We'll be Ma'aseh Nefesh. So how do we get Bochrim to want? I mean, it's a simple question. How do we get this desire? How do we get Talmidim to want? If they want, then we're in business. If we could type into a computer from today to today. If it's not plugged in, we could be typing the nicest poem, the nicest shtickle Torah. If it's not plugged in, when it's not going to go anywhere. How do we get Bochrim to have that desire? And the emphasis is it's a circle, because in order to want, you need to have Mesikas HaTorah. In order to get Mesikas HaTorah, you need a want and Chazer. So it's a circle. How do we start that circle? How do we get Bochrim to want to do something that they never tasted the Mesikas HaTorah yet? How could they be Ma'aseh Nefesh for something you never tasted the sweetness of? That's really the question. That's what we're going to talk about. We need Mesikas Nefesh to Chazer in order to get the Mesikas HaTorah. How do you get the Mesikas Nefesh if you never tasted yet the Mesikas HaTorah? How do we deal with this? I said last time this story with the elephant, but I want to say it over again. I think it's just the elephant. What keeps the elephant locked up in his? You take an elephant for a circus. So what keeps the elephant put? He has a cage around him, but the elephant is 2,000 pounds. The elephant's like a school bus. Why can't the elephant just knock over the cages and go right? They bring him to Manhattan. They bring him all over to circuses. What keeps the elephant put? It's unbelievable. What keeps the elephant put? What keeps the elephant, this big animal, where the keeper wants him to be, is a rope around his leg, and then the other side of the rope is a peg in the ground. Why? How does that work? Because when the elephant was born, and the elephant was 200 pounds, at that time, what is the innkeeper, the trainer do? The trainer takes a rope, puts it in the other side, a peg in the ground, and the elephant pulls a ganze Nacht, and he can't pull it out. He's 200 pounds. It's strong enough. And then, he gives up. That belief, that limited belief that the elephant convinces himself when he's a little baby, that when the rope is around my leg and the other side of the rope is a peg, that limited belief lasts with him a lifetime. It lasts with him a lifetime. When he's 2,000 pounds and he can easily just pick up his foot and walk through the cage, he knows when that rope is around and he can't go. 20 years ago, there was a fire during one of these circuses at night. There was a big fire. And the elephants, out of desperation, pulled out the pegs for the ropes, and they broke out of the cages, to the extent that the trainers had to send them all back to Africa. Why? Because you lost the whole training. They had to go back into the woods. Rabbi said we all have limited beliefs. We all have our own comfort zone that we create for ourselves, what we could accomplish, what we can accomplish. We all have in all areas of life. But now we're going to focus on Torah. We all have our own limited beliefs And our job as Rabbeim is not to pull out the pegs for the Bachram, not to be the ones there to pull out the peg. If you pull out the peg, it's like the trainer pulling out the peg in the morning, and he's going to put it back at night. That doesn't teach the elephant anything. Our job is to make the fire. Our job is to make the Eish HaTorah alive. This way the Talmidim will pull out those pegs. They'll pull out those pegs, and then the pegs stay out. Then they need to go into the forest of Torah. Then they're not stuck anymore. We need to make the fire, and then they're going to pull out those limited beliefs. So how do we create the fire? That's what we're going to talk about now. The first point, and I want to just say before I even say anything I'm going to say here, I feel like we're chazing over Dvarim Pshutim. I feel like we're chazing over Dvarim Pshutim. I don't want to chaz Hashem should come across b'chlal that I'm giving over any chedushim that's not being implemented in this room. I just want to chazer over what I see works, and again, what I see works could be tweaked and should be tweaked accordingly, according to which Masechta and according to what age and according to the motivation. Number one is we need to eliminate any pressure, any outside pressure. Again, I'm talking for 12th graders. You can't do this maybe in 6th grade because you eliminate pressure, what's going to be. But maybe to a certain extent, even though it's a covered actually, Reb Chaim Schwartz, the Manal in Shari Torah is here, and he's doing Me'ain this in 9th grade. Once a certain Indian, he doesn't give a bechina on because this way, you learn. Anyway, let's a little more geschmack. So here's the point we want to talk about. We need to eliminate any outside pressure. For example, what worked for us. Why do we all come to the shiurim? Or a lot of us come to the shiurim with pressures, with bechinas and report cards, and even an incentive, post-incentive. That's also pressure. But why do we do that? Because I learned in Staten Island Yeshiva. I know what worked for me. What worked for me was a fire shmooze, a good vart, a ma'aseh and a tzaddik, a bechina. It was moiridik. We had a bechinis every month, every 10 blot. There was a bechinis. There was a bechinis at the end of this month. We got a prize. It worked more. If the engine is running, and this is the key, if the engine is on, if a bacha is motivated, if a bacha could read a Gemara inside and make a laning and read the Gemara smooth and the Gemara talks to him, then all these things are moiridik, because what's it going to do? It revs the engine. It'll rev the engine. It makes accountability. What the issue is doing is moiridik. Everyone the issue is involved with, all thousands and 30,000 people, the engines are running. The engines are running. You want to rev it up more. You make accountability. There should be a chayvus every day. Something is moiridik. A bechina is moiridik. But if we're trying to start the engine, Rabbi say it's not going to start an engine. No bechina in the world is going to start someone's engine. Either he won't do well in the bechina, I'll give him yish. If he does well in the bechina, he'll just do enough to pass the bechina. But to start an engine and get a bacha, like you see over here, a rangaton ready to be mois and nefesh, we need to eliminate outside pressure. So bechinis, even a fire shmooze of a story that happened 300 years ago. Is a shkaich that happened to me? What does that have to do with me in 2015? We'll talk about that soon. And never, ever, I want to just tell you, never ever that I ever say to a bacha, you have to chazer. Never said the word you have to. We'll talk what I do say, but I never say you have to. I never say if, and even if you chazer, you'll get a prize. When you say if you chazer, if you learn 100 minutes at night during Bein Hazmanim, what happens? That's also a pressure. Because the baruch is not learning because he loves Torah. He's not self-motivated. He's learning to get that. If we could figure out a way to eliminate these pressures, and baruch is doing it, that means the baruch is pulling out the pegs. Then the baruch is on fire. Then that's going to bring to Mesiras Nefesh and enough chazara to be kaina mesechta and really bring it alive. The second point I want to discuss is, so we all get September, we have opening day, so to speak, right? The first day of Zman. First day of Zman is the most chashuv day of Zman. It's the first day that we're going to either make it or break it, either get the Talmidim on the train with us or coming along with it. So let me describe a little bit how opening day looks by me. Now again, keep in mind this is 12th graders. You have to be a little bit, to 16, 17, you have to go accordingly. But it could be 6th grade, it could be 5th grade, it could be... Number one is we got to do shock treatment. You got to do a shock treatment. Someone's heart is stopping. The shock treatment. If it's really stopped, boom, they shock it to make him alive. Ruchnistik and Neshama is sleeping, we gotta do a shock treatment to shock the hearts, to shock the Neshamas alive. So comes opening day. I don't even know the names yet. Opening day is Yom Tov. I gave in the morning is Yom Tov. Why? Because I always feel that today is everything. If the Bacha turns his motor on today, then you could go. We'll talk about if a Bacha doesn't turn his motor on that day, but we have to create a matziv that if you don't turn your motor on today, you're a loser. So what happens? So we make a Kiddush. And the Baruchim look, why Kiddush? And I tell them, because today is Yom Tov. Today we're starting a journey to develop and to own and to live and to Mesikas HaTorah. Everyone gets a pencil. And I believe that anyway that we could implement these points, I believe that would sponsor anyone for your Talmidim such a pencil. This is $55. It's a cross pen, pencil, red and black. The Baruchim love it. I mean, they know it's expensive. It says cross on it. It turns it black. With a name on it. Everyone gets one. Why? They look at me. Why? They look at me. It is worried because they either I'm a sugar or I have something to sell. So it's worried. You got to get them in that matzah. If their eyes are open, either something's wrong or it means business. So once you have those eyes open, then you can start talking. Then you start telling them, Rabbi Yisai, the only way we could do this is with Chazara. And Chazara over and over. And 3 times a day. Every day before the next day is 3 times. And again, you don't have to. But if you want to be on this train, if you want to, and I get Baruchim from past years to talk to them and say, go on that train. Be mice and evish because it's worth your while. And when you get create such a matziv, then you talk to them. And I just want to speak at one point. When we talk about Chazara 3 times, it's very, very important that those 3 times Chazara, to make it clear from day one, they have to find the time for it. They should find the time to Chazar. Not that we're going to give part of night Seder to Chazar. Because, again, that means we're taking achrayus for them. We have to make that they should take the achrayus. And trust me, they do. During lunch, during supper, they'll come early on the bus. It takes 20 minutes, a Chazar, Amid, a half Amid, 3 times. And they find the time. And once they find the time, they break out of their comfort zones. Then comes Shabbos, there's a new Shabbos. Friday night, we had a whole shir. That Friday, they were learning on Shabbos. And they were makabel 4 or 5 blot over Shabbos. But Friday night, for some reason, I guess the fathers are probably sleeping right after the Suda. So they go sleeping and they read a book. I don't know. Friday night, for some reason, was off. Was not negay. I couldn't even understand. I remember I was shocked. I went around the Shem, who learns Friday night? And everyone said no. It was 20 baruch. Everyone said no. And they were learning over Shabbos. I couldn't understand. And we made up, I want to talk about, we made up, Rabbi said 5 minutes. 5 minutes Friday night. This goes back to Chanukah time. 5 minutes from your Kabbalah should be. Now the entire Shia just about is learning at least an hour. Now Friday became a time for became a Seder. It became a Seder, an hour. Sit down by the dining room table. Sit down, take your Gemara. Why? Because I knew once we get them 5 minutes, then that means they're not in that comfort zone anymore. Once the comfort zone is broken, then there's no limit. I showed them the video. We have an old video. I showed them the video on the first day just to warm them up. And I want to talk for a second about Daf Beis. Daf Beis is the gold standard. Daf Beis, we have to put so much energy into Daf Beis. I mean, every blot, every word that we have to put energy. But Daf Beis, I hear from so many Baruchim, once they got Daf Beis klar, then even if they're struggling on Daf Zayin or whatever it is, they know, hey, look how Geshmarka was. I knew Daf Beis in my bones. And once you set up a gold standard, then we always have to, then there's always something they could look at and always, I knew that klar, let me get every blot klar. And then I tell you, I make a bet. I make a bet with all the Baruchim sitting around. And I made this bet with a few hundred Baruchim so far, and I never lost. And the bet is like this. The bet is I tell the Baruchim, you Chazar every day. You come on the train. You put in your Koiches and Chazara. And if you don't feel like a different person by Chanukah time, if you don't feel a different Eishkuk to Torah, you don't feel like a different mensch Chanukah time, $500. It just shows the Baruch, you mean business, and it shows them that they know you don't want to lose the bet. And if you put in the kaiches, you'll see the feel. And of course, the biggest incentive is yet to come. The biggest incentive of owning the Gemara, of breaking out of comfort zone, of stelling to one Gemara to another Gemara. At a Bachal 2 weeks ago, we had a Rav Kahana Shita on Daf Chav Hey Chavov in Sukkah, and the same Rav Kahana is on Daf Daled. And he stellt zu, he stellt zu. Oh, that was the same Rav Kahana, same Amor, saying a very similar Shita regarding a similar Sukkah over there. And the Bach and Milashir got up and started dancing. And he was so happy. So this Simcha, no Bechin is going to give him that Simcha. No reward, no $100 million at the end of the year will give that genuine Simcha of knowing the Gemara. And that's really the incentive that powers the train. Then the Geschmack that powers the train is a Bach knowing the Gemaras, and that keeps, that's the fuel. Now, in order to get to this level of Chazara, in order to get to this kind of Chazara, we need to teach the Gemara that it should be Chazarable. We could talk from today till tomorrow, Chazer. If a Bacha can't take his own Gemara and Chazer from it, then Chazar could be the best thing in the world. The Bacha needs to open his Gemara and it should be Chazarable. So of course we have the pen. If they have the pen in their hands, they know we're not giving. They didn't pick a different prize. I picked the pen for a reason, because that's the biggest key in owning a Masechta, is writing in the Gemara. Turn your Gemara into something that reads back to you. And when I prepare share, all I'm trying to do is one thing, is figuring out ways, footnotes, and ways that the Gemara should become easier. Not to make it harder. We're trying to make it that the Bachrim could read in the Gemara. And I figured out different footnotes that we could try to say over that will make the flow of the Gemara. For example, you have the Gemara V'tzricha. Diashminan hacha hasam eimalai tzricha. Without some footnotes there, without some commas and some, we call it dashes. That means it's not a pause, but it's not a period. It's a dash, meaning you got to keep on going on. Without, you make it the own sprach, how you say over the Gemara, but without the Olam putting this in the Gemaras, there's no way. How are you going to read that? Only, I would say, footnote, only, hacha, you don't need to know. Emalai dash, tzricha. It's Chinese, unless we can make the Gemara English for it. And then a Bacha could take on. We just, Tanis Leashti, we did Masechta Tanis. A Bacha counted up all his footnotes in his Masechta. He had 1,549 footnotes on his Masechta. I made copies of some of the Gemaras. Maybe you want to look at it afterwards. But I made copies of some of the Gemaras. It's neuralistic. The Bachim, I don't know if you can see from it, but whatever. You can look at it afterwards. I made copies. I asked the Bachim, and they didn't want to give up. I asked them, can I have your Gemaras? They don't want to give up their Gemaras. I'm not, but Mamish, I used to, well, let me just take a few. What are they going to use Shabbos? The Gemara becomes theirs. It becomes part of them. It becomes part of them. You know, till when? It becomes part of them. I want to tell you. Till when? There's one Bach that gave up his Gemara because he's not learning Sukkah now. And I brought two of his Gemaras. I wish we could focus on this, but I'll just tell you what this is. This is a Gemara Sukkah from 5 years ago. And the Bach was in the 11th grade then, and now he's 20, and he's in Pesach Yeshiva, and his Gemara Sukkah from last month. Everyone's invited to come up. I'm not making this up. If you open a Daf Beis, and you read, it says over here, Sukkah she Gavoya high, Lamaila above, Mesem Amma Kama, Psula, Virguda Maksha period, every Kama. Now, this Gemara is from last year, and it's Nereistak. I wish you could see. It's Ayin Marsha and Aruch Laner. Ayin Ritva, Ein Meiri, and Taiz and Eivin is Chaylik. Look, I mean, there's a whole Masechta like that. This is the same Bacha. But if we skip this step, if we skip the step of turning the Gemaras alive, we'll never in the world get to here. And this Bacha, besides that he made 25 something Siyumim on Masechta Sukkah, but it's impossible. You can't skip this and get here. It's impossible. And also when a Bacha also writes in his Gemara, when a Bacha writes in Gemara, it becomes connected to his Gemara. I had a Bacha now that was an Eretz Yisrael for Pesach, and he left his Gemara in the Mir, and he was still going to find it. We put up a sign in the Mir, $100 reward. Whoever finds his Gemara, then we went up to 120 now, because the Bacha is Ois Mensch. He comes to share every day, Mamish Treren, because he's Ois Mensch. Part of him is not here. They get so connected. You know, we started this in 11th grade. They implemented this in 11th grade. And one of yeshivas are in. So the Rebbe, opening day, he was telling the Bachim, you're going to love your Gemara, write in it. You're going to come connected to your Gemara. It's going to come part of you. And he said, you want I should prove it to you? Go upstairs to Rabbi Newman's share room and take this, here's $100 bill. I wasn't even there in yeshiva. I heard about this when I came. He says, take this $100 bill and go around to all the Bachim, see if anyone will sell you the Gemara for $100. They don't have to worry about me. I wasn't there. This Baruch took the $100 bill seriously. Said, can you sell me your Gemara $100? And they laughed him. They laughed him to Kanasi. No, he's not a gay. To them, this is the one Baruch. I over him saying to someone else, we need life insurance on this Gemara. You know, they're feeling it. There's a connection. The Mishnah says, the Rav explains, it's not two things, it's one thing. Through Oyevis Abriyos, we're able to be Mekarv on the Torah. We say, Kamalabres ben Chaver Torah is Kilu Yoldai. I always like to say it backwards. When it's Kilu Yoldai, then we could be Malabres ben Chaver Torah. And the Pasuk says, V'ata dedaber al kol chachmei leiv. And the next pasuk says, V'osu es ha'ephod. Pashas, what did he say to chachmei leiv? They said to make the ephod. The Chasam Sofer says, V'ata dedaber al chachmei leiv. That they are chachmei leiv. Tell them that they are chachmei leiv. And Mamela, once a person believes in themselves, our job, we need to show as much koich as we put into turning on the Bachim's minds and challenging and trying to get their minds to move. We need to put that much focus into getting the hearts to move. Preparing shir needs to consist of thinking of ways that we're going to show Avas Talmidim today. Thinking of ways how we're going to come in and show each Bacha that they're important to us and that we care about them. And the result is Moiridik. I just wrote down a few little things on this paper to share. There was a Bacha who was in yeshiva 3-4 years ago. And then he went to show, and then he went to college. So he calls me up, he says, and he chazed, by the end of the year, by the way, you own the Masechtas in your bones, so we make a siyum, and during the siyum, Daina makes Kabbalahs the chazed every day. Every day, lo yishboisu, either amid, everyone can pick a amid or a blot, and they chazed. So this Bacha says, Rebbe, I feel bad, but I stopped chazering, because he takes the bus to Manhattan to his college, and he says, I get dizzy. He started the first few days, I get dizzy on the bus, what should I do? I said, Elliot, let me send you an MP3 player with Masechta Saita. Maybe you can listen, it'll be easy. Moiridik, I sent it to his house. And Moiridik, he's listening. I didn't even hear from him. 3 weeks later, I was learning Friday night in a shtibel next to my house. He lives near Concord, and I live in South Muncie. An hour away was in the winter. And he comes in. I said, what are you doing here? He says, I'm stuck on a Rashi. I'm stuck on a Rashi in Saita. It was on a Beza with Tumah. We sat, and I said, come to my house, I'll give you tea, challah. He says, no, I couldn't go to sleep. And there's a Bacha that doesn't say, he's not trying to make it impressed. He felt it. He says, I couldn't go to sleep. I needed this Rashi. We learned for 10 minutes, and he got up and walked back an hour. But where does that come from? That comes from, he saw that I cared. He saw I cared. I sent it to MPT. He saw that I cared. And that's what I want to talk about, what we could gain by just vising this Ava, vising Kilo Yodai. Rabbi Brundi said over last night from Rabbi Edelman in Yerushalayim, from Eitz HaChaim, that how did he have atzlocha? He says he used to shmooze with the Talmidim as much as he learned, or more than he learned with them. Whatever it is, the point is, there needs to be that yachas. There needs to be that yachas. I'm going to, just a few little examples, and again, Chaz v'shalom, I'm not implying at all that it's not being done. I just want to share what we do, and hopefully we can all gain from this. If a bacha walks out to the bathroom, so I'll sit in his seat and continue writing in his Gemara. Why? What is that? First of all, that makes the bacha going to come back very quick. I mean, he'll know the next time. People know. Rabbi sits in the seat and writes in his Gemara. It's that vising that I noticed you'd left. If a bacha is not there in the beginning of shir, I wouldn't start shir. I'll call everyone. But all you need to do is one time a year. All you need is mamish. One time a year, you need to call a bacha before shir to notice that he's not here, and he'll never miss. And if he misses, he'll call you. As he is. And another small thing is to call parents as much as possible. Call parents and give them the nachas, because then they tell their son, and then the son wants to earn it more. And you can't overdo it, but as much as you can, to call the parents, tell them how your son is doing. You only gain from it, and they want to live up to it. And And Rabbi Binon Brzezinski has a book. He wrote the story. It's a Moiridige Meis. It's true because it happened with my Talmud. This Talmud was going by Shabbos every Thursday. We make a kiddush, and during the kiddush we talk about Kabbalahs for over Shabbos. And I asked this one bacha, Moshe. I said, Moshe, what are you doing this Shabbos? He says, this Shabbos I can't learn because I'm going hiking. Okay, he's going hiking, and he's not going to have electricity. He's going hiking with tents. Yeah, the lantern. He's going in camp, and he can't camp. He's going camping. He's going camping. Not Machal Shabbos. He's going camping. A few barchim. That's what they were going to do. Fine. So he said, but I'm not going to have lights. I can't learn. So I went to Home Depot. I got him a lantern. I said, Moshe, here. I just passed by yeshiva and I just sent this up to Moshe. He'll chapzach what the lantern is for. Anyway, there's a Moshe here. Got the lantern. He came back Sunday. I said, how was Shabbos? Grada, he learned he didn't need the lantern because they had a generator. Fine. This is a little bit before Purim, a month before Purim maybe. That year Purim, and Muncie was a geferliche blizzard. And most areas had blackouts. Punkt Olympia didn't have a blackout. And people from all over the place, we got a few invitations to move into Olympia. Olympia was the one of the only sections that didn't have a blackout. People moved in there for Shabbos, and they got a blackout 10 minutes before Shkia. People moved there 10 minutes before Shkia, they got a blackout. And the place is pitch black. Someone told me, pitch black. And there's so many new mishpachas there, pitch black. There was one bacha that was learning Friday night. It was this Moshe. He took out that lantern that was still packed away, and he turned it on, and he had the thing. But that's where it comes from. I want to say one other thing, because this is I hold one of the biggest key. This is from all the points. This is one of the biggest points. There's a boy, Keith, a teenager in Muncie. Sometimes I meet him around. He's sometimes with a yarmulke, sometimes without a yarmulke. And I said, Keith, what's with tefillin? He says, tefillin, I did when I was 13, hardly ever. I said, Keith, tefillin, Shabbos, tefillin, bris, that's Shabbos. You got tefillin, it's choshev, tefillin, you got tefillin. But I can't force him. I don't even know him. So anyway, a few weeks later, I met him. I said, Keith, no tefillin, anything? Yeah, he says, I put it in my trunk, and once in a while I'll take it out. So I said, Keith, you give me the trunk. It's a summer. It was this past summer. I said, this summer, it's going to be puzzle. I said, I gave him $100. I said, just go to Lishkas Sefer, check if they're kosher. That's all I said to him. To check if they're kosher. So I called Lishkas to make sure he shows up there. He went, and he checked the kosher. Listen, the next time I met Keith, I said, Keith, what's with tefillin? He says, I want to tell you, ever since I checked that they're kosher, I didn't miss yet a day. Well, imagine I would have said, Keith, if you put on your tefillin now for the next 2 weeks, then I'm going to give you $100 to check if they're kosher. They will still be in the trunk. I showed that kid. I showed my kid about his tefillin. I care about him. And look at that. And Ada Yom, he's putting on tefillin every day. He started being ashamed. I don't know where he is, but tefillin he's putting on every day. If it's okay to elaborating on this, I just really want to bring the point. I just hope it's okay. I'm not overdoing this point, but this is such a dogush. I take my kids on overnight every summer. We go on 24 hours. We go overnight and swimming and horse, whatever it is. Why? No reason. We're going. During that overnight, this is going on for 6 years, I turn to my boys, I say, what's the Kabbalah for this coming year? And I can just tell you, 1 year they were Makabal and it's lasting till today, Mavasedra. Is 7 years, 9, 11, then. 1 year is Yehi Shmei Rabba with Kavod, and 1 year is Yasha Yotza standing in one place. Brachas. Why? If I imagine, I would say, whoever does Yehi Shmei Rabba, whoever does Mavasedra, a whole year we're going to go on overnight. We'll be overnight. We're trying to be pound on the fact that if we just show that Ava and we don't connect the dots, that's the point. We don't connect the dots. They'll connect the dots. They know what we want. They know what their fathers want. They know what Rabbeim want. Our job is to show Av and not connect the dots. If we connect the dots and we say we're doing this for that, then we lose them. Our job is to find ways to show the Talmidim we care, we believe, and we love you. And they know what makes us happy. They'll do it, and they'll be moist and effish to do it. This world is a world of numbers. The next point is Kamus versus Eichos. This world is a world of numbers. It's a world of Kamus. Everything is how much money, how many cars, how many How many? Everything's numbers. How much you own, how much you are. Everything's numbers. Eichus doesn't play a role, and the Goyish Welt doesn't play a role. It's not Negeya. And Laida, it infiltrates into the yeshiva system also. And the Emma says, why does it infiltrate? Because the only way us, Rabbeim, could see the Eichus, the Masir, the quality, is through numbers. How many minutes did you learn at night? How many blot did you do? Right? That's also numbers. The Eivish doesn't care how many blot you did. The Eivish cares how much you were Moise Nefesh for the Gemara. And I got to tell one of the Shurim, a very Shvacha Balikishon, and I constantly tell them over and over that for you it's so much easier to be Amal B'Torah. He said the Baal Kishrin in Lakewood, he needs to be up at 3 o'clock in the morning schwitzing on a Rambam. That's when he gets to the level of Amelis. You could just open a Gemara and you really want to run here and you have this Yetzirah and that Yetzirah. That's Amelis right there and then when you're Chazer. But the world is screaming, Kamus. And the Eivish only cares about Eichos. And to be kind of Masechta, it's only Negei Eichos. It doesn't matter how many times even you Chazer. It matters how much Keichas you put in to get the Gemara Klar. So I want to just tell you something. What I try to make as the biggest dogush is on Mesiras Nefesh, on Eichos, on being Moise Nefesh. We have in my back of my Gemara, I have a envelope, little paper, and anytime I see some Mesiras Nefesh, I write it down. At the end of the year, by the Siyum, I'll talk about each Bacha, how they were Moise Nefesh this year. As much as everything is Chazara and everything is how many times made a Siyum, I really try very hard not to make a dogush about Kamus, because we're sending the wrong message. If a Bacha learns at 2 o'clock in the morning, and we'll make they'll see how choshev that is. We'll make an extra kiddush to cover him. The Mesiras Nefesh is everything we have to really focus on. This Pes Bein Zmanim, one of the shiurim is 20 bachrim, and everyone makes kabbalas before Bein Zmanim. How much they get a chaza? 3 blot a day, 4, 8 blot a day. It's lo yu'uman. We came back at the first day, and they made it on the board. Everyone wrote their name. How much it was 1,975 blot was learned by this one shir. And they thought, and I was very happy that everyone kept the Kabbalah. Bochum did more than the Kabbalahs. I was very happy. But I turned to them and I said, Rabbi Isai, the number is beautiful. But I went around the shirim. I want to hear when it was hard. And that's when we made the biggest dogush. And you wouldn't believe the responses. One bacha said he was on his way to Charlie at a stopover in Madrid. At 3 o'clock in the morning, it was an hour stopover. He said he sat down in the terminal for 1 hour chazing Gemara. There's another bacha that after the Pesach Seder, he remembered they were makabel to do 2 blot in the morning. This was the minimal pledge that we were hoping for. 2 blot in the morning and chazar those same 2 blot over at night. So this bacha did his 2 blot in the morning and he came to Pesach Seder. And after Pesach, it was 1:30 after Abba Kaisis. He remembered he didn't do the 2 blot. He went back down to the dining table and he did twice the 2 blot. And these things we made such a matzav out of. One Baruch, he says he was in Phoenix and his family wanted to go up to the Grand Canyon and for Pesach Chol Hamoed, and he says you can't go until I finish my Seder. It's these things that this is what the Baruch was saying. If it's okay, before we continue, we have with us Rabbi Feldheim, Manal in Denver Yeshiva, who's was shut from over here with Vhaarev now. And if we could hear, you're hearing so much from me, if we could hear a little bit from his perspective.
Just share our experience with this program. We had a shiur in the high school this year that we didn't know what to do. They weren't holding by learning Mekadesh B'Milva in a Tifa Oifen. They weren't really interested in Stelling Tzu. And so we decided we have to come up with some mahalach. We have to think maybe out of the box and do something. So I right away figured I'm going to call Reb David Newman and maybe he can come and help get this shiur back into learning. So Reb David came down and he started off. The Bochrim, Reb Eli Krauss was the Rebbe, was Moisher Nefesh, and these Bochrim are mamish learning you look into the classroom, and when they're learning this Masechta, there's not a one head above the Gemara. They're orangutan in the Gemara. They have their pens. They're writing. They're stelling tzu. It's a whole different reality. And these are Bachrim who l'chayra have no interest in learning. And all of a sudden, they're kind of this Masechta. They're learning with Hatzmada. They're orangutan. It's an unbelievable transformation. And a lot of it has to do with obviously the Ava that the Rebbe puts into them, but there's a certain geschmack that they're chazering, that they feel that they know, and it's a gewaldige simcha. We could just share a machshava that I think when Moshe Rabbeinu was ready to give the Torah, the Rebbeinu Shem said to him, the Gemara says in Erech, the Rebbeinu Shem said to Moshe Rabbeinu, don't forget to sing in the Beis HaMikdash. The Gemara wants to know, how do you know you're supposed to sing in the Beis HaMikdash? So the Gemara says, Moshe Yedaber v'elikim yanenu b'koil. So the shaila is what the Rebbeinu Shem is telling Moshe right before Matan Torah, don't forget to sing. Like Lamaisa, if all the things before Matan Torah, this is the most important event in world history. But if not for that, the world would be destroyed. And Rabbi says, don't forget to sing in the Beis HaMikdash. Like it's like you're walking your daughter to the chuppah and you ask your wife if she paid the public service bill. Like what does she want with that? The Torah says, he's saying, Moshe, remember that when it comes to learning Torah, there's such a thing as singing. Torah will give you a simcha, a geshmak. A Rebbe has to give a Talmud a geshmak in learning. He has to give a Talmud a feeling that there's nothing more geshmak than learning. Don't forget this singing in the Beis HaMikdash. Yiddishkeit means a bocher can come and he can sing with a geshmak. And that's what the bochim have to be given. We talk about the Avnei Meluim, the greatest, most valuable stones. They're called filling stones, Avnei Meluim. Why are they called special diamonds? Why Avnei Meluim? Every Talmud is a diamond, but it has to be in the right setting. If he's in the right setting, then he sparkles as a diamond. This program gives every bacher that needs it the perfect setting. It gives him the setting where he can steig, where he can grow, when he can sparkle as a diamond in the most unbelievable way. And it gives the bacher machias. I see the bacher smile. They take out their pens. They take out their Gemaras. They write the notes. They write whatever it is, and they cherish it, and they feel proud and a sense of accomplishment. It's an unbelievable program. And I guarantee you, if you take it in, the bochum who need it, who it's appropriate for, you'll see moiridike results. We've seen gewaldike hatzlocha, and Reb David deserves tremendous yasher koyach because it's his ava for each bocher, and it's his ibegegebenkeit that has transformed thousands of bochrim into oya ve'torah. Yetz Hashem, we should be matzliach to be futza mayonis v'chutza.
We have two more points, and 6, 7, 8. Number 6. Dava Mesuyim. You know, Dava Mesuyim is such a key thing, and sometimes I feel when I speak to Rabbi Menalim, I feel like it's not so important. Dava Mesuyim, but let's do Baba Basa. We'll do 50 blad of Baba Basa, 50 blad of Ksubis, but Chas v'Shalom. The Satan, Samuel is the Satan. Siyim Mesechta Ein Lasos. That's what the Satan wants. It's for a reason why he doesn't want you should make a Siyim. You make a Siyim and you have a Kinyan, you have something. But I want to focus a little bit different on what we're going to gain out of a Siyim. What we gain out of a Siyim is a Bacha doesn't miss a day. He knows if I miss this Gemara, I don't have it Shleimus. Dava Mesuyim is so key. The Eibishter made a big shas for a reason. There's Masechta Brachas, there's Masechta Saita and Sukkah and Tanis and Rosh Hashanah and Tamid for those that need it. There's Megillah, there's Beitza, there's many Masechtas. Each Rebbe, according to the Bachrim in the Shir, you need a tailor-made towards the Bachrim which Masechta we're doing, and it should be a Dava Mesuyim. When it's a Dava Mesuyim, it's quiet in the Shir room, it's quiet. The Bachrim don't want to miss. They know if I miss this, that I'm not going to get this Masechta. When a baruch is sick at home, he'll call in, not because I'm telling him to call. He'll call in because he knows I need every word of the Gemara. And let me just tell you something. There was a baruch Chatzkel. This Chatzkel had a hernia surgery in the hospital, and the surgery was over a half hour before the shir on his own from his hospital bed down. He called in. He didn't want to miss that day's Gemara. Not because he wanted a clap and he wanted applause. He didn't want to literally miss the Gemara. And that's all based on it's a Dava Mesuyim. Another point which really the video focused on is Ritzufis. What Ritzufis does, the video was more just focusing on that one akud of Ritzufis. Of course, Vhaarev is they bring Mesikas Atayr and Avas Atayr into the Bochrim. But once you have Avas Atayr and Mesikas Atayr, once a Bocher knows 10 blot, 20 blot, 30 blot, then you can do Ritzufis. But we just focused on that aspect. We focused on that aspect. Now, every 10 blot, we make Ritzufis. And I could be market Vhaarev that one of my manalim is Rav Chaim Schwartz, who's nachas ruach to work with, because we discuss what day it should be, and we call the English department, and the English department is nichna right away, and that's the day that they're going to learn from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock per Tzufis. And it's more ridiculous that it should be done dafka during English, to advise the Baruch what the Iker is. And besides that, they're happy to get off English, whatever it is, and they learn from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and it's moiridik. What it accomplishes, besides that we get those 10 blot in the bones. What we have is, I have what we give out by Ritzufis, not always, but sometimes I give out this. I make a chart, and it has each blot over here. And this way a bocher could be misada his own mind, which blood that he knows klar. I tell him, fill it in gray when you have it pretty good. When it's 10 out of 10, when it's klar, make it dark. And it's more that at the end of that day, the Olam knows exactly which blot they still need a little bit help on, which blot they're in the pocket. And that smother is not imaginable. You can see on the video, but that smother is moiridik. And it affects, and I want to just be madish, it affects the Ian Seder as well. As much as this is more shitchistic and it's more just going through the Gemaras, the Ian Seder is a different Ian Seder. Because Baruch know what it means to sit for an hour, 2 hours straight learning Bas Mother. Baruch told me, if he was kind of Masechta, he says, my geschmack on Shabbos is go through the staplers on that Masechta. It brings a boch to the next level, and again, that's why we're here to bridge the gap. We're here once your boch has masikas, he'll take it to the next levels. You have a friend that you know, you want to get to know them better. You have a Gemara that you know, you want to get to know it better. And what we talk about especially leading up to this Ritzufos, is you can't sit down for 4 hours and learn something that you're not klar with. You're going to go mishuggah. You need a chazer in order to chazer. Some Baruchim have this written inside the Gemara on the opening page. We need a chazer in order to chazer. One Baruch says, if you don't, then you are a chazer. But it's not again. But you need a chazer in order to chazer. You need a chazer in order to chazer. What does that mean? That means you need the Gemara should be klar, and then it's geschmack to open a Gemara that's talking to you, and just to soften the Kohen, just to get it klarer. That's geschmack. If the Gemara is rusty, it's not going to be geschmack. And finally, point number 8 is, and before I even say point 8, I do want to offer to the, first thank you for coming, and to the Kehil over here, to offer Blineda, if we could implement these 8 points into our meisters, Blineda, there will be serious funding to help you out, because it depends cost, and your kiddush and the seam, things need to be done a little bit extra b'shefa, because we go b'shefa to them, they're going to respond b'shefa. They're going to learn, they're going to break out of those comfort zones, they're going to respond b'shefa. It's very, very key. And point number 8 is, Ki Hashem yitein chachma mipiv dasas vuna. I heard over from a Torah chaver of mine, Rabbi Avram Beer, Pshan in this pasuk. What's Pshat? Ki Hashem yitein chachma mipiv dasas vuna. The Medrash says that the father's giving out bread, and the son says, no, I don't want bread. I want from what's in your mouth. I want from the past that's inside your mouth. What's the pshat? What's pshat in the son? What's pshat in this pasuk? Pshat is, we all know, if you want to get a kid to eat chicken, so if you're going to tell them, oh, it has so much nutrients, it's protein, and Bobby loved it, and Zaidi, and look at Tati's eating it for supper, they're not going to eat it. You want to get them to eat chicken, you put another kid their age that they associate with, and they're eating the chicken, dipping in ketchup, enjoying it, their kid, before you know it, is eating chicken. Lahavdal Avdalis, when it comes to Ruchnius, and this is what I want to just end off with, when we give Umesorah to the Talmidim, for us to go and scream and say even stories that happened 300 years ago, it's all beautiful. Again, it's beautiful if the engine is running. We're not going to start an engine like that. But we're going to start it if a bacher from last year, and a bacher could get up and say, I was in your shoes, and now through Chazara, I'm loving it, I'm living it. That's Umesorah that's going to hit home. There was a bacher in the Mir Yeshiva who learned Masechta Brachas many times. He made a scene by him in the house many times. And what we do is, the first few months of his man, we call up alumni, whichever yeshiva they're in, they should come on the phone for 45 seconds and just, we say, give a shout out to the Eilim. What's the shout out? The most part we say, Chazer, put in Kaiches, because if not, you're going to be a loser. Put in Kaiches, it's Kedai. And once we called this Bach, he was walking in Meir Sharm. And I say, Moshe Yehuda, were you up in Chazara in Brachas? I forgot what he said. And then I announced to the Shia, I said, and he gave a shout out, and I told the Bachim, I said, you should know, Moshe Yehuda, Chaz's Brachas, I think it was 30, I don't remember how many times, but he knew it, klar. And one of the Bachim sitting there couldn't believe it. That he know. I remember I said, he knows a Kamat Bal Peh. One Bachim sitting there couldn't believe it. So he went to get a Gemara Brachas from the back, and he opened it up, and he on the phone, on speakerphone, he says, what's Lamed Beis? Say, here, this Bach is walking Meir Sharm, and this Bach in months, he's saying, what's Lamed Beis? And he screamed on top of his lungs on the speakerphone, he's still here. He screamed, he said, there's 2 dots in Miller Ahmed. Taner Abanon Abod Dvarim Tzrichen Chizik. Torah. Zagrashi Tzarech Lachse Mishnasei Tamid. The Avisha set this up. It was Moirdik. It was the best Musa. It was such Geshmaka Musa. And then we had a Bach. This just happened 2 weeks ago. I have to share this with Oyam. You know, one of the yeshivas I'm in, we have the high school Bismedish on one side of the hall, and then the Bismedish on the other side of the hall. So the high school, that's where I give the shir, and after Mincha, the high school Bismedish. And Barchim from the post Eretz Yisrael come, and sometimes they forget a Gemara, they forget a Sefer in the Bismedish during Shir, so they come quietly, they'll go get the Gemara, walk out. So we started a few months ago, the best Muslim in the world. I stopped the Bachrim, and in a respectful way, I don't know the name, I say, you mind if we ask you a few questions? And if you don't mind, and if you think, we'll invite you for the Kiddush on Thursday, whatever it is. And they go along, we say in a respectful way, and I asked them, do you own a Masechta? We did this maybe to 40 Bachrim. You know the answer, never. These are 21, 22-year-old Bachrim. How many own a Masechta? They say, yeah, we learned Masechta. Do we own it? Once in a while, the Bachar says, yeah, I own Kedushin. I said, when did you chazer it last? 3 years ago. I said, you think you still own it? And Vhaarev, I feel bad for the Bizarre. But sometimes we do it, we try to do it very, not as bad as it sounds. But it's pretty sad. And Bachrim get Musa. They say, if you're not going to do it now when you're 16, you're going to look at 22, and you're not going to come Shabbos. You have nothing to do. Come Bein money. You're going to raise your Mesikas HaTorah. So, then came, this is Mardik, the Avish sent him to yeshiva. Why? There's a bacha from Sharei Razim from 6 years ago who learned Masechta Sukkah, klar. And he joined the Bismedish. No shaykhs to me. He joined the Bismedish. And I saw him, I said, Shlomi Geshmak. I said, do me a favor, Shlomi, tomorrow, come in during Shir and make believe you don't know me. I'll make believe I don't know you. Just go get a Gemara from the back. He came in, it was Mardik. He came in, he took a Gemara. I said, so right away the Baruch said, let's get him. You know, they want, let's get him. So I said, oh, fine. What's your name? Shlomi, where you from the Mir? Very good. I said, Shlomi, by the way, do you own a Masechta? He says, yeah, Masechta Sukkah. How many times did you chazer? He said 10. He rather did much more, but he said 10. He was 10. I said, can I hear you? He said, yeah. This happened. I had a Gemara Sukkah in front of me. So I turned to the Mem Daled, and I read the Gemara. He says, right over there. It starts right after the Mishnah, Mem Daled. Then I went to the middle. Every blot, Chav Ches, and then to Yud Beis, and every blot, he said, boom, like this. He even knew exactly where on the Amud. He didn't know a line, but he said where on the Amud it was. The Bachrim's eyes were wide open. You couldn't give a bigger Musa Shmuz. No, wait. No, I skipped the punch. They were going Meshuggah. The Oilam was going Meshuggah. Why? Here, they thought they got me. So it was Moira. And the Oilam was saying, why? I hear them whispering to each other. Yitzi, and they're saying, why? This is real. So I went around the ocean. I said, is this real? Everyone is real. I said, you know why this is real? Because he learned Vhaarev and he chazed, and I went to him, I gave him a hug. I said, he's my Talmud, he loves, he learns, he's chazing. Look how much koiches he put in. It was Moiridik. This is such a musa, these guys. And then the next day, we started Shir. Did you chazah 3 times? They said, we chazed that story 10 times over and over. Yeah. And I want to offer, I don't know if it's a gaya to some yeshivas that aren't in New York, but I want to offer, but Kovid Gadol, we have yeshivas coming over from Farakwa, different yeshivas from Brooklyn that come over with the Bachrim, and until you have your own alumni, how are you going to get this kind of musa? So we'll offer it free of charge, with a kiddush, and come over, bli neder, I'll try to accommodate. And I'll bring over my own Bachrim, until you have your own alumni to inspire. Well, and this is what we do. Just a few weeks ago, I came over from a shir, and my few Baruchim came over. They said, we love sports, but we love Gemara more. And you hear it from a 17-year-old that looks just like you. There's nothing better. So everyone's invited, Blinada, to come over. We'll work it out. And I want to just end off. We should be Zeicher. To should be Mekuyim by us. Vhaarev no. Hashem Elokeinu Estivi Teirascha Befinu. And through this Vhaarev no, through this Mesikas HaTorah, it should be Mekuyim. It should be Mekuyim, the words of Torah de Belial that says, Ein Yisrael Negalim, Lo Yimiteich Hatzav, Lo Yimiteich Hashibud. Ele Miteich Asara B'nei Adam, the Asara should turn into Asara Salafim B'nei Adam, Sheyoish V'mzeh, Tzil Zeh, V'chol Echad Koire V'shoinem, Chaveiroi V'koilam Nishma. Thank you for coming.